What's up, everybody? Today we're talking InDesign, guides, align tools, text options, and much more. It's business time, so let's get into it.
Okay, so today we're going to use InDesign to create a business card for our fictional pizza place called Pizza Pie. And so our business card is going to be for Jane Smith, who is obviously the head pie tosser at Pizza Pie. And we've got this nice little logo here in white that's going to be on the red background, and the color logo with all of Jane Smith's very important contact information here. One thing I want to talk about before we even get into InDesign and open it up, I have this document. It's called the Guideline Setup Cheat Sheet that's available for you in the comment section, the description section of this video. So make sure you open this up. This is going to help you out. I'm going to go through and tell you what all these numbers are as we make the guidelines, but this really will help you visually see where you're supposed to put each one of the guidelines and how you set up your document. So once again, this is in the description of the YouTube video. You'll be able to use it as a reference as you're creating this in InDesign. Okay, so we have InDesign open here. We're going to go ahead and do Create New. And we're going to use this new document window that pops up here. We're going to go to our print presets here, and there is going to be view all presets, and we have the US business card preset. That's the one we want. When you click on that, we're going to change a few things over here. First of all, we want to have a front and a back to our business cards, so I'm changing this to 2 pages instead of 1. We don't want them to be facing pages. This is not like a magazine spread, so we're going to uncheck facing pages. For our margins and our bleed, we got to change some of our information here, but I want to change the whole document into inches instead of picas, just so that we have a unit that we're used to working in here, and the numbers on our cheat sheet are all in inches, and so that helps us decide where to put our guidelines a little bit better. So our bleed for this business card is going to be 0.125. So you can either click on the up arrow here, or you could type it in. If you click on the up arrow once, it should default to 0.125. And notice it changed all for the top, bottom, left, and right bleed area. And then we're going to also make the margins go down for this one because we want them to be 0.125 as well. So both bleed and margins are 0.125. And then I'm going to click preview real quick because I just want you guys to see. If you click preview while you are setting up a document in InDesign, it will show you where that bleed area is, the margins, and the size of document. So if I was to change those margins to be a little bit bigger, notice that it moved that margins line right there. So just a little hint to click on that preview button so you can make sure it looks the way you want it to look. All right, so once again, we've got our US business card. We've got 2 pages. We unchecked facing pages. We've got a margin of 1.125 and a bleed of 0.125. Don't worry about the slug, and let's click Create. All right, I'm going to reset my workspace so mine hopefully will look like yours. So I'm going up to Window, Workspace. I'm on Essentials. I'm just going to reset Essentials so that everything looks the same as yours. As you can see, when we're in InDesign, we have our Properties panel over here to the right, similar to the rest of the Adobe products. We have our toolbar to the left, and when we click on a tool, the items that are over here may change depending on what tool we're using. And then we've got our top menu with all of our file, edit, layout, type, object, table, view, and window, and help. So these are all of our areas where we can modify our preferences as we're working through this project. So once again, if you remember looking at our page here, we're doing a front and a back. And the front is the part where we're going to need all these guidelines, and the back is going to be pretty simple here. So let's look at our pages that we have in our document. Right now, we only see this one page, but if we go over to Pages over here next to, in the tab next to our Properties tab, you can see we have page 1 and page 2. I want to be able to see both of these pages at the same time because it just helps me when I'm designing, and plus these are business cards. They're pretty small compared to like how big this is on my screen. So I'm going to go up to View, and I'm going to go up to, or go down to Actual Size. And what that does is it makes it smaller on my screen so that they look like the actual size. Now I'm working on a pretty big monitor here, so that made it really small. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So I'm just going to click on Command plus on my keyboard. If you're on a PC, you might have to do Command or Control plus or Control minus to zoom out. So I just did it a few times, just enough so that I can see both of them at the same time. There we go. Okay. I've got my front of my business card and the back of my business card. Once again, you're definitely going to want to use that cheat sheet to set up the guidelines for the front of our business card. If you don't already have your rulers turned on, that's going to be the way that we create our guidelines. So we definitely need to have these rulers turned on. If you don't have them turned on, you're going to go up to View, and then mine already have turned on so I can hide them, or you could go to View and Show Rulers. All right, so we want to definitely be able to see those rulers. And I'm just going to click back over to the Properties panel here. I don't really need to look at my pages, and I'm going to need the Properties panel as I work through this. You can see over here we also have the option to turn off our rulers. There's some other grids that you can turn on and off over here, but that's another faster way to get those rulers open and closed. Okay, so now we're going to put all of our guidelines onto the front side of our business card. Now, when you're making guidelines, you can do this one of two ways. You can either click and drag from the ruler up here outside of the actual page or inside. So if you're inside, notice that the ruler, the guideline that appears only stays inside of the page. If I drag it outside of the page, it goes across the whole document. Just for my visual purposes, I have a hard time distinguishing where the rulers are or where the guidelines are if they're inside. This just helps me realize that it is a guideline and it doesn't get confused with the artwork that's actually in the page. So I'm going to make my guidelines outside of the page. My first one, all I did to get it was I was up here at the top of my ruler and I clicked and dragged down to get it to come down. That's how you get a ruler. I'm going to actually take both of these. I just highlighted them with that selection tool. I just did a box over both of them and pressed delete on my keyboard to start over. So the first ruler, the first guideline that we want to drag from our ruler is going to be at 0.2 inches, and that's a horizontal ruler. So when I drag it down, you can see that my numbers change, and I can try to get it exactly to 0.2, which is a little hard, but I got it there. Or alternatively, if you did not get it exactly on 0.2, like let's say you have it way down here, while you have the Properties panel open and it's selected, and you know it's selected because it's dark blue, while it's selected, I can change that Y value and I can just type it in right here. So I want it to be 0.2 inches. So I'm going to go 0.2 and press enter, and it automatically snaps it up to where I want it. My next guideline that's going to be horizontal is going to be at 0.6. I'm not going to be too careful dragging it out. I'm just going to go with this method of typing it in. So I have it selected, 0.6, press enter, get my next guideline, and that one's going to be at 0.67. So type in 0.67 and press enter. And my last horizontal guideline is going to be down here at 1.86. Press enter, and we got it where we want it. Okay, remember that line that's going around here that's like kind of pink and purple, that's our margin, and the outside is our bleed. The bleed is the area if you have a graphic that's going off the side of the sheet of paper or off the printable area, you design the graphic to actually go off of the page digitally so that when they're printing it, they can see where they're going to cut, and it makes sure that the image goes all the way to the edge of the paper. Okay, so we've got all of our horizontal guidelines. Let's do some vertical ones. So same thing on this vertical ruler over here. I'm just going to click and drag, and I'm going to get it close to where I want it to be, and then I can change the transform. Now I'm changing the x-axis, the x location instead of the y location because it's vertical. And this first one is going to be at 0.375, and press enter. Get another ruler, another guide. Oh, you can see this is what I was talking about. I dragged that last one inside of the page and it doesn't extend past the page. That's just going to confuse me later, so I'm going to take both of these two that I just made and press delete. I'm going to do it one more time. So instead of having my cursor let go inside of here, I'm going to have my cursor let go outside of here. And make sure it's at, oh, I got it right on 375. That's perfect. All right, so 0.375 for the first one. The second one, I'm going to get at 0.625. Just typing it in, 0.625, press enter. The third one is going to be at 0.7. The fourth one outside of the page. So this is 1.75. Press enter. Go ahead and get my last vertical guideline, and this one's going to be at 2.625. Press enter. All right, we have all of our guides. That's great. That's what we want. Now it'll be really easy to start designing our business card on InDesign. So our front has all these guides. We don't need the guides for the back side because the back side is just going to have one color graphic and the logo in white. So this one's a lot easier. Let's go ahead and start by adding our logo. I'm going to create a frame for the image to go into. And what that does is it helps me go ahead and get it in the location where I want it. So I'm going to get this frame tool right here. And it's it's called rectangle frame tool. And I'm going to draw a box over on the right hand side of my business card on the front. And I didn't place it anywhere particular. I just kind of did a rectangular box over on this side. I do kind of want it to be in the center of this half of the business card. So that's aligned with this guideline. So I'm just going to click and drag it until it snaps and that X is exactly in the center. This frame is, like I said, it's a placeholder. It's a place where you're going to insert your image into. So with that frame selected, now I can do the file place or Command D or Control D if you're on a PC, and it will place it into that frame. So I get that pizza pie logo color and click open. It's automatically in that frame. It's really large, but it's in that frame. While it's in that frame, and it's very large, I'm going to right click, go to fitting, and fill frame proportionately. And now it's resized it automatically for me so that it automatically goes inside that frame that I created perfectly. So that's awesome. We've got our pizza pie in there. Sometimes when you're designing in InDesign, I notice that I get very distracted by all the extra lines. We've got guidelines, we have object lines that go around it, we've got the bleed, we've got the margins. There's a lot of things going on there. So sometimes you may want to change your view from normal over here at the bottom of our toolbar to preview, and it just gives you a little visual of what it looks like. Now I'm glad I did that because when I did the fitting for this, I chose, let me click on it one more time. I chose fitting. I did fill frame proportionally. But what that did is it actually cut off a little bit of my pizza because of the size of my frame. So instead of fitting fill frame proportionally, I'm going to go to fitting fit content proportionally. And now it has made it so that the content fits inside my frame. I can see all of my content and nothing gets cut off. I'm going to turn my guidelines back over here. So I'm in preview mode. I'm going to right click on that and go to normal mode. And now I can see all my guidelines one more time. All right, next up, I need to add a red background to the back of my business card. And I need to add the little red box where we're going to put our name. So I'm going to go over here to our rectangle tool. And I'm just going to simply draw a rectangle. I'm starting in the bleed area. So I'm starting at that cross of the first guideline horizontally and the bleed area, and I'm going to draw the box so it goes all the way to the halfway point and the second guideline horizontally. So I have a box like that, but I don't want it to have a stroke and I want it to have a red fill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first let me go ahead, actually I'm going to leave the stroke right there for now. I'm going to use the color theme tool. What that does is when you select an object, so my pizza pie logo here, if I click on it with the color theme tool selected, it's going to give you some color suggestions to theme the rest of your document on. I love this tool because it's really nice when you have a hard time picking out colors that match with what you're going with. So that red is going to be the same red as this one in the pizza, and then the orange or orangey yellow is the same one over here in our logo, and then it gives you some suggestions for other colors. But we're just going to use this red one today. When you click on that color theme tool, and while you have selected the object that you want to theme stuff off of, I've got the red selected here. You see it has the white box around it. Then I can simply click on this box and it will fill it in with that color. It's a really nice tool to use. It helps you do things a little faster. So I just clicked on my selection tool to get out of the color theme tool. I'm in that red box again. I'm going to turn off my stroke so it has none. Then I'm going to copy the same box. So I'm using the Option key, holding down the Option key or the Alt key if you're on a PC, and dragging my box down here to the second page. Oops, sorry. I'm just going to drag it a little bit and then I can drag it down to the second page. Then I can fill in my entire back of my business card. Now remember, you go all the way to the bleed area so that it prints all the way past the edge, and you're not going to have any weird margin area here when it prints. And fill in that whole area with that same red color. Just to show you what it looks like in preview mode, you can see we've got our red background and our red box. This is where the name is going to go, and this is the back of our business card. Going back to normal here. We need to put our white logo on the back side. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to get that rectangle frame and I'm going to draw a frame back here. Doesn't matter if it's perfect right now. We're going to do that file place, or you could have done Command D or Control D. And we're going to get this time the logo in white. It's going to fill it nice and big like that. We're going to go to right click, fitting, fit content proportionally. Now we want to make sure that it is in the center of our page. So with that selection tool, I have the Pizza Pie logo selected. You can click and drag and you can see that mine actually snapped so that it is in the center vertically and horizontally. That's what those pink lines are for. But in case that's not working for you for whatever reason, I'm intentionally putting it not in the center so you can see the difference. You can use this align panel over here inside the properties to align it to the center of the page horizontally and vertically. When you click on those, it won't do anything unless you have multiple things selected, or you change this to align to page. So it's aligning that logo to the center of the page vertically and then to the center of the page horizontally. All right, we've got a little bit further. Once again, I'm always going to go back to that preview mode just so you can see a little bit of a difference there. It looks really good. You can always also press W on your keyboard to flip back and forth between the preview mode and the normal mode. So I'm just pressing W on my keyboard. All right, it's looking really good so far. All right, let's get up here to our front page. This is going to get a little complicated here because we need to put 4 different icons for the location, the phone number, the email address, and the website for our head pizza tosser, Jane Smith. So I'm going to get that rectangular frame tool again, and I'm just going to draw a perfect square. So I'm holding down the shift key, starting at that guide right there, third guide horizontally, and the first guide vertically. And I'm just going to draw a perfect square holding down the shift key so that it fills that little area right there. And I'm just going to use my select tool to select somewhere else so you guys can see that. So there's where my first icon's going to go. Before I start placing the icon and adding the rest of my icon areas, I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to change the frame fitting options. So in the past, for these 2 pizza logos, we put the image in and then we modified the fitting to be to fit the content proportionally. This time we're going to change the frame fitting options before we put our image in. And I'm just going to click on auto fit, and then we're going to do fit content proportionally and then click OK. So now whatever we put in there is automatically going to be fit perfectly. The reason I did it first before I duplicated this is because now when I duplicate it for the other 3 icons, that setting is going to save and duplicate with it. All right, now duplicating in InDesign is going to get a little funky here. So pay attention to what I'm clicking, listen to what I'm saying as I'm doing it. So first thing I'm going to do is hold down the Option key on my keyboard. If you're on a PC, just know when I say Option, I mean Alt. All right, so I'm holding down the Option key on my keyboard and I'm clicking and dragging. Okay, I'm letting go of the Option key. I've already pressed it when I started clicking. I'm letting go of the Option key. I'm still clicking and dragging. I have not let go of my mouse. While you're clicking and dragging, you're going to press the up arrow once and twice. And what that does is it creates these extra duplicate copies. So now I have 3 duplicate copies that are going to come out, and I want them to go all the way down to that guideline at the bottom there, that 4th guideline that we made. And so now they're going to be evenly spaced, and I'm going to let go. So now we have the 4 frames where our icons are going to go. That's a little complicated there. I want to do it one more time to make sure you understand. So I'm going to do Command Z or Control Z to undo that. So once again, I'm going to hold down the Option key, click and drag, let go of the Option key, but don't let go of my mouse. Keep going down to where I want the last one to go, and then I can press the up arrow once, twice, to get those extra ones in between. All right, so we have our 4 frames. Let's go ahead and fill the icons in. So the first one, I'm going to do the keyboard shortcut this time of Command D. And we're going to get our location icon for the first one. Look how it fit that perfectly in there. That's exactly what we wanted. For this one, Command D, I'm going to put the phone icon next. For the third one, Command D, and I'm going to put the email icon next. And last but not least, Command D, we're going to put our web icon. Okay, time to add some text in here. So getting my type tool, and I'm going to go from this edge right here all the way to this point right here to draw my box for my text. So there to there, fill in that whole box space. And I'm going to type in all caps, oops, that's not all caps, Jane Smith, press the enter key or return key. I'm going to do not all caps, regular capitalization, head pie tosser. And we're going to go ahead and select all of that text. And in our properties menu over here, we're going to change a few things. First, we're going to go down on our character panel and change it to Verdana. And we're going to use a white font for all this. So highlighting all of that, we're going to go to the fill and change it to paper. So it's basically not printing there because that's just the paper is the white color. I'm going to take the top part where it says Jane Smith and we're going to change it to bold. And I'm going to take the whole size of this whole thing down just a little bit, like maybe 10. I like that. I think that looks good. So, and then I think I also am going to adjust the leading here, make it a little bit closer, something like that. Now, you'll notice that what I don't like here is that we made the text box from that corner all the way around here like that. And the name is kind of at the top here. So what I want to do is while I have the text box selected, I'm going to right click and go to text frame options. In the vertical justification, I'm going to change it to center. That way it centers the text between the 2 areas where where I made the text box. All right, that looks good. We're going to go and get our text box again. And this time I'm going to go from this corner. I'm going to align it to the bottom of that icon and go all the way to the center line. And this is where I'm going to type in our location. Now our location needs to be a little bit smaller here. I'm going to go down to 9. I may have to change it. Let's actually go to 8 real quick and see if that works. So I'm going to type in 123 Pepperoni Avenue. And that's in New York, obviously, since we're doing some pizza here. New York, 10001. I want that font to also be Verdana. So I'm going to go to my fonts here and Verdana. And that is a little too big, so I'm going to keep going down to 7. I think 7 point works well. But again, that text is not centered vertically up and down in that text box. So I'm going to click on the text box, right click, text frame options, and change it to center justification in the vertical. All right, then I can copy that over. To copy it, you're going to hold down the Option key on your keyboard. So Option, I have it selected first. Click on the Option key and click and drag. Move it down so it aligns with that one. I'm going to do it again. Option key, click and drag. Option key, click and drag. All right, now we can type in our phone number. Obviously, her phone number is 555-555-5555. And email address is jsmith@pizzapie.com. And last but not least, the website is pizzapie.com. All right. Now we can go ahead and go out into our preview mode. I'm going to press W on my keyboard. And we have this amazing, beautiful business card, front and back. Let's go ahead and save this. So we're going to go to File, Save As. We're going to save it as last name, first initial, underscore, business card, and press save. We also want to save this as a PDF. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to Export. And we're going to change it to a Adobe PDF print. That's the one we want to save it. It's just going to save it as a PDF file. And you can press save. We already got the correct name up in there, and so you should be good. You don't need to change anything. You can go ahead and keep all the default settings and press export. So now you have both the InDesign file and the PDF saved. I hope you've enjoyed this InDesign lesson on how to create a business card for a pizza pie company.
If you liked this video and found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up and drop a line in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell for alerts of when new videos are posted. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy creating.